Well folks, we're here on the 9th of April in a field of Jayu, winter barley sown on the 30th of September. So what's been done to date in this field, it would have received its clean up weed control, it will receive its early growth regulation and also its fungicide. Crop is probably at growth stage 32, 33 here now, and what we're starting to think about here is our terpal, our growth stage 37 growth regulator. So the crop is sitting on 140 units of nitrogen right now, and it's extremely fertile ground with high levels of farmyard manure being used on the land historically. So we are thinking right now of the terpal rate being probably between 1 litre and 1.5 litres. We know over the last number of years that rate would have been a little bit lower, but given the year, given the conditions, given that this is highly fertile ground, 140 units of nitrogen, and being a 6-row conventional variety, we will know that we will probably be using higher rates of terpal. Now what terpal does, it shortens the internode length of the crop. So we know when winter barley is at growth stage 37, it is half the height, its final height. So that's why we are targeting terpal at that time, is to shorten that internode length to prevent lodging and prevent straw breakdown.
While we're here in winter barley, you'll be aware the last couple of years Terrachem are getting more and more focused on biologicals, which is the way a lot of the crop protection market, I won't say is heading, but we're going to have to rely on them more. And what we're becoming more aware of as we develop our biological range, or our biostimulant range perhaps, is how you use them correctly and how you sequence them. So leading into a discussion that Robert will follow on ramularia control and the importance of stress reduction in barley for that, just to highlight what we're now promoting in crops from Terrachem in the use of biostimulants. This winter barley would have got insight very early on, as in before Christmas, at 0.75, which stimulates the roots. So we all know how important that is. It sets the plant up for the rest of the year to perform well, particularly when water becomes a shortage, which turned out to be the case last year and may yet be the case this year. I then would have used 2 applications of Uplift at 2 litres per hectare, which you've heard me talk about it loads of times. Most people know what it does. Very effective product, particularly on good crops. It does reduce stress in the plant, but what it is also doing that's worth mentioning, particularly this year when nitrogen has taken a huge price hike, using Uplift, because it increases the efficiency of use of nitrogen. There are some trial results coming back which have been done where the Yara N sensor was measuring the levels of greenness in wheat crops treated with Uplift, and it actually found when the tractor was running through with the final split of nitrogen, less nitrogen was needed because the crop had already utilised previously applied nitrogen more effectively. So that's worth highlighting with Uplift, that it actually may give us scope to reduce nitrogen, it's relevant not only because of its price this year, but we all know coming down the tracks we're going to be allowed use less nitrogen. But more importantly, on the biostimulant front, I want to throw over to Robert Beattie again to talk about ramularia, and particularly the use of the Alltech Liquiplex foliar feeds and the role they can play not only in trace element nutrition, but in amino acid nutrition and in reducing stress on crops and helping disease control.
So John would have mentioned that a focus for Terrachem is its biostimulant range, and new to that range in the last couple of years has been the Alltech range, and specifically the Liquiplex range of trace elements. So what this Liquiplex range is, they're an amino acid base range of trace elements. So what the amino acid is actually doing is, it's number one, it's improving that uptake of trace element into the plant. It's acting as a chelate, so it's helping that trace element get into the plant more quickly. But also the amino acid itself has a function on the plant. So in the Alltech range, we know that there's guaranteed 18 out of the 20 amino acids required for growth and development of the plant. But those amino acids also have a de-stressing factor on the plant. Now, there is significant area of research being looked at these de-stressing aspects on the plant, And specifically when we think of barley in terms of ramularia control, now look, we know ramularia is somewhat triggered by stress, and anything we can do to reduce the stress on the plant may have an impact on the amount of ramularia that gets into the crop later on. Now, this crop will have received its trace element requirement early on in the season, so specifically the products that we are looking at now is Liquiplex K for strength, and also water availability in the plant, and also Liquiplex MG. Now MG specifically for chlorophyll content and improving the grain fill in the crop. So those are the two products that we were looking at this stage in the crop.